It's pulling me back!
Hold on, I'm right here. Don't let go.
The late afternoon sun spilled softly through the tall living room windows, dust motes floating lazily in the warm golden light. Emma, 17, sat cross-legged on the worn carpet, her sketchbook balanced on her knees, pencil moving steadily across the page. She drew not with perfection, but with care, every line infused with quiet attention. It was her way of keeping the world in order, of capturing what mattered, even the smallest details. Her younger brother, Liam, 12, bounded into the room with a mischievous grin, kicking a small rubber ball that bounced off the coffee table and teetered dangerously near the edge of the old fireplace. "Emma, catch it!" he shouted, laughing, his voice bright and careless. Emma looked up, eyes rolling playfully. "Liam, must you always turn the living room into a football field?" He ducked behind the sofa, peeking out with a grin that could melt the hardest heart. "It's not football, it's adventure." Emma set down her sketchbook, her gaze softening. Liam had always been like that, full of energy, full of curiosity, full of life. He had a way of making even the quietest moments feel alive. She loved him fiercely, often more than she admitted, and that love had shaped everything about their home, their routines, their little world. Their family home was a modest house, the kind where the walls held echoes of countless shared memories. Faded photographs lined the hallway, showing birthdays, holidays, and small, silly moments captured in time. Emma's parents moved with quiet efficiency in the kitchen, their voices carrying faintly through the open door as they prepared dinner. The ordinary rhythm of the house, the creak of the stairs, the hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the hallway clock, made everything feel safe, predictable, familiar. Yet there was something unusual in the living room that Emma had always noticed but never understood. An antique mirror resting against the far wall. Its frame was carved with delicate swirls of wood, faded in patches, yet oddly captivating. Most people would call it charming, just another piece of old furniture, but sometimes Emma thought she saw it move. Not the reflection, not exactly, but a flicker, a shift that didn't belong. When the room was quiet, she swore she heard whispers, soft, almost pleading, but whenever she turned toward it, the sound vanished. Liam, oblivious to the mirror's quiet strangeness, bounced closer. "Emma, let's play hide and seek. You hide, I'll count." Emma smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "All right, but don't hide too far this time." As Liam scampered off toward the staircase, Emma's eyes lingered on the mirror. Its surface caught the last rays of sunlight, and for a moment, she could have sworn she saw not just her reflection, but a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer behind it. She blinked. Nothing. Liam's giggle echoed from the hall. The moment passed, leaving only the ordinary, familiar world, but Emma's heart thumped a little faster, though she couldn't explain why. In that ordinary, sunlit room, surrounded by the warmth of home and the laughter of her brother, Emma felt a sense of quiet contentment. Yet beneath it, a whisper of unease lingered, subtle and unshakable. Something in that mirror was watching, or waiting, and though she didn't know it yet, the peaceful world she had always known was about to change forever. The evening light had begun to fade, leaving the living room in a gentle half-shadow. Emma had just finished setting the last of the books back on the shelf when Liam's voice rang out from the hallway. "Emma, hurry, I found the perfect hiding spot." She chuckled, shaking her head. "You've been saying that for 10 minutes. Are you sure it's not behind the sofa again?" Liam's laughter echoed as he darted past her, disappearing into the dim corridor. Emma followed slowly, her heart light with the usual warmth of sibling play. But as she stepped into the hallway, she noticed the mirror. Its surface shimmered faintly, reflecting more than just the hallway behind her. For a fleeting second, it seemed as though Liam's figure lingered inside the glass, frozen, though she knew he had just run past. She blinked, convinced her imagination had tricked her. "Liam," she called softly, her voice tinged with curiosity. No response. She quickened her pace toward the stairs, glancing into his usual hiding spots, behind the sofa, under the table, inside the closet. Each place was empty. Her playful amusement began to ripple with unease. "Liam," she called louder this time. Her voice bounced against the walls, yet no cheerful giggle answered back. Panic pricked at her chest. Emma moved toward the mirror, drawn inexplicably, a shiver running down her spine. The glass seemed darker now, almost liquid, and for an instant she could have sworn she saw a ripple, like a stone had disturbed its surface. Then, impossibly, Liam's small hand appeared inside the reflection, pressing against the glass from within. "Liam," Emma whispered, frozen in disbelief. Her voice trembled, and then, in the blink of an eye, he was gone. The hand vanished, leaving only the distorted reflection of the empty hallway. Emma's heart hammered violently. She stumbled backward, tripping over a stray shoe, her mind refusing to process what had just happened. The room felt suddenly colder, the shadows longer, the air thick with a silence that pressed against her eardrums. "Mom! Dad!" she screamed, her voice cracking. Her parents rushed in from the kitchen, faces pale with concern. "He was just here," Emma stammered, pointing toward the mirror. "He was hiding, and then he's gone." Her father's brow furrowed. "Gone? Emma, where did you last see him?" Emma's throat tightened. She couldn't find the words. How could she explain something that defied reason? Her mother took her hand, squeezing it gently. "Calm down, honey. Maybe he just ran outside." Emma shook her head, panic rising like a tide. "No, he was right here. I saw him. In the mirror. Then he disappeared." Her mother's eyes softened, but a flicker of doubt crossed her face. "Emma, maybe it was just your imagination. You've been stressed with school." Emma's chest tightened. Imagination? How could this be imagination? She remembered the ripple, the tiny hand pressing against the glass, the sudden emptiness. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Frantically, she began checking every corner of the house again. Closet doors swung open, drawers pulled out, every nook and cranny searched. Her panic grew as each space proved empty. She ran from room to room, calling his name, but the only response was the echo of her own fear. By now, the first hints of evening darkness had settled into the corners of the house. Emma pulled out her phone and called the local authorities, her voice trembling as she reported her brother missing. The dispatcher's calm tone did little to soothe the storm of dread rising in her chest. Later, alone in the dim light of the living room, Emma returned to the mirror. She knelt down, staring into its dark surface, willing it to give her answers. And then a whisper brushed past her ears, soft, urgent, familiar. "Emma." Her breath caught. It was Liam's voice. The sound of it sent a shiver down her spine, simultaneously comforting and terrifying. She leaned closer, her forehead almost touching the glass. The mirror reflected only the room behind her, yet the whisper continued, echoing softly, as if the glass itself had become a portal to another world. Tears ran down her cheeks as she pressed both hands against the cold surface, her heart aching with love and fear. "I'll find you, Liam. I promise." In that moment, the ordinary world she had known, the safe, predictable rhythm of home, the laughter of her brother, the warmth of family, crumbled. The mirror, once just an antique curiosity, now seemed alive, dark, and watching. And Emma realized with a sinking certainty that nothing would ever be the same again. The first seed of fear and determination had been planted. Night had settled over the house, thick and oppressive, wrapping every corner in shadow. Emma sat on the edge of Liam's bed, her hands gripping the soft edge of the blanket, staring at the closed door. The room smelled faintly of his shampoo and crayons, familiar and comforting, yet now heavy with absence. Her mind replayed the events of the evening over and over. The image of his hand pressing against the mirror burned into her memory. She had called the police, searched every inch of the neighborhood, even questioned neighbors, but no one had seen him. Friends and family offered gentle words, but their reassurance felt hollow, like static against her rising panic. Some had even suggested she was imagining it, that perhaps she had been too tired or stressed. The thought of doubt gnawed at her, twisting her stomach. Emma's gaze drifted toward the living room, to the mirror standing silently against the wall. Its polished surface now seemed impossibly dark, absorbing the dim light of the lamp beside it. She hesitated, then rose and walked over. Her reflection stared back at her, pale and trembling, yet something behind the glass flickered, a ripple, just as before. Her breath caught. "Liam," she whispered, almost afraid to speak aloud. Nothing, only silence. But then she saw it, a shadow darting across the glass. Too fast, too fleeting to be her own. Emma reached out, fingertips trembling, brushing the cool surface. A faint vibration ran through the glass, like a heartbeat, and she heard again, a whisper, so faint it could have been imagined. "Emma." Her stomach knotted. She staggered back, chest tight, heart pounding. The room felt impossibly cold, and for the first time, she realized how alone she truly was. Not just in the house, but in her knowledge of what had happened. No one else had seen it. No one else would believe her. She began to explore the house again, methodically. Room by room, she searched, opening closets, drawers, even the attic. Each space was empty. Her frustration grew, twisting into fear, and fear into desperation. Each step back toward the mirror was both irresistible and terrifying. She could not stop herself. She had to know. Emma sank to her knees before it, her reflection staring back, pale and frightened. The glass shimmered, faintly, unnaturally, as though it had a life of its own. She thought she saw Liam's face appear, just for a heartbeat, pressed against the other side, eyes wide and pleading. And then he was gone. Her hands shook as she leaned closer, trying to reach through, willing the mirror to reveal him. Memories flooded her mind. Liam's laughter on lazy afternoons, the way he had insisted she always be the hero in their imaginary games, how he had hugged her tightly when she cried after a fight at school. She remembered promising him she would always protect him. And now he was gone. Tears blurred her vision, but determination replaced despair. She refused to accept that he was lost forever. She whispered his name again and again, her voice breaking, until the house itself seemed to answer with silence. Then, for a moment, she noticed something strange. The clock on the wall reflected in the mirror did not match the one on the dresser. Seconds were off, the hands ticking differently, as if time and the reflection followed a separate rhythm. Emma's heart raced. Could the mirror be more than just a reflection? Was it a doorway? The thought made her stomach churn, but also sparked a glimmer of hope. If it was a portal, maybe she could find him. Over the next hours, she tried small experiments. She spoke softly to the mirror, calling his name. She tapped on the glass, listening for vibrations or echoes. Each attempt ended in fleeting glimpses, a flash of his hair, the reflection of a small hand, or a whisper carried just beyond comprehension. And each time, he vanished before she could reach him. Exhaustion and doubt began to press heavily on her mind. Was she losing her sanity? Friends and family didn't believe her. The authorities dismissed her fears. And yet, she could not shake the certainty that Liam was trapped, calling to her from some place she could not yet see. Her fear was raw, visceral, but with it came something stronger, a burning determination, the kind that grows from love and desperation. She realized she had to understand the mirror, to learn its rules, to face whatever was inside. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch toward her, shapes shifting with each flicker of light. Every reflection in the house now felt wrong, elongated, delayed, or out of sync. Her world had become a puzzle of distorted realities, each one hinting at the impossibility of returning to what had been normal. And yet, through the fear and doubt, she remembered her promise. She would find him. No one else could, but she would. Emma pressed her forehead against the mirror, whispering, almost as if making a vow to the glass itself. "I will bring you back, Liam, no matter what it takes. I swear it." The mirror shivered beneath her hands. For just a heartbeat, she thought she felt it respond, a pull, a vibration, a hint that it was listening. Then the surface went still again, cold and unyielding, reflecting only her tear-streaked face. But Emma did not step back. She would not. Somewhere beyond that glass, Liam was waiting, and she would not rest until she brought him home. The house was silent now, as if it were holding its breath. Emma stood before the mirror, hands trembling, her forehead pressed lightly against the cool glass. The whisper of Liam's voice echoed faintly in her mind, calling her, pulling her forward. The reflection shimmered, faint ripples spreading across the surface like water disturbed by a pebble. She swallowed hard, fear and hope warring inside her. "You're here, aren't you, Liam?" she whispered, almost too softly to be heard. The mirror responded, though not with words. The glass seemed to bend, stretching inward, drawing her gaze deeper until the familiar hallway behind her blurred and warped. Emma felt an inexplicable pull, a tug at her chest, as if the mirror itself were urging her to step closer. Her fingers pressed harder against the surface, and the world around her, the bedroom, the furniture, the fading light, shifted. With a sudden, terrifying pull, Emma felt herself being drawn forward. She tried to step back, but her feet were no longer touching solid ground. Instead, she tumbled forward, her body moving through the mirror as though through a thick, cold liquid. Panic surged through her, and she screamed, but her voice was swallowed by the strange, humming darkness. Then, suddenly, she landed on a floor that was not her own. The room around her was familiar, yet alien. It resembled her living room, yet the furniture seemed slightly off, distorted, elongated, and shimmering faintly, as if breathing. The light came not from lamps or windows, but from an eerie glow that seemed to rise from the very air. The mirror she had passed through now loomed behind her, impossibly large, its surface quivering like a liquid pool. Emma's heart raced. She was somewhere else, somewhere real and unreal at the same time. And yet she knew it. Liam was here. She stepped forward cautiously, each movement making the strange floor beneath her feet ripple slightly, like water. Shadows danced across the walls, strange and fluid, twisting into shapes she could not name. The air smelled faintly metallic and cold, sending shivers up her spine. She called out, her voice trembling but resolute. "Liam, where are you?" A faint echo responded, a whisper carried on the unnatural air. "Emma." Emma's chest tightened. It was him. She could feel it more than hear it. The sound of his voice was fractured, stretched, and carried a weight of fear that made her stomach churn. She ran toward the sound, moving through spaces that bent and shifted, doors appearing where none should exist, windows reflecting landscapes she did not recognize, hallways leading into hallways, rooms opening into impossible corridors. As she ran, she glimpsed him, a small figure in the distance, fleeting and blurred, sometimes too far to reach, sometimes vanishing altogether. She reached out, but the moment her fingers almost touched him, he seemed to fade, drawn back into the mirrored distortions. Her heart ached with desperation. "This isn't real. It can't be real," she muttered, her voice breaking. Yet the fear in her chest, the knowledge that he was truly here, pulled her forward, step by step. Emma realized that this mirror realm obeyed different rules than her world. Time flowed strangely, moments stretched and compressed. Light bent in ways that defied logic. Shadows moved with intent, curling toward her and then retreating as if testing her resolve. She stumbled over a floorboard that rippled like liquid, and for a moment she felt herself falling endlessly. But then she gritted her teeth, gripping the edge of reality, and steadied herself. And then she saw it, a figure reflected in the warped surfaces around her. Her brother, standing on a distant platform that seemed suspended in the air, his eyes wide with fear and confusion. He called out, his voice trembling. "Emma, help me." The sight of him, real and fragile, broke something inside her. She ran faster, moving through the shifting landscape, ignoring the eerie shapes that lunged from corners and walls. Creatures that seemed to be made of shadow and reflection, eyes gleaming, faces amorphous and threatening. Each one whispered words she could barely comprehend. Regrets, fears, failures. Emma's chest tightened. She could feel the weight of all her guilt, all the time she had snapped at Liam, the moment she had failed to protect him. But through it all, her love remained unbroken. She called his name, louder this time, a steady, unwavering cry. "I'm here, Liam. I'll get you out. Hold on." The mirror realm resisted her. Hallways twisted, doors slammed shut, shadows stretched long and cold to block her path. Emma stumbled through spaces that seemed endless, her hands brushing against surfaces that shifted beneath her touch. She felt a sharp tug in her chest, as though the mirror was testing her resolve. But with every step, every heartbeat, she remembered the promise she had made. She would bring him home. Finally, she reached a platform suspended in darkness, the edges glowing faintly, marking the boundary of the impossible. And there he was, Liam, smaller, trembling, but alive. His eyes met hers, wide and fearful, and she saw the reflection of her own determination mirrored in them. "I'm here, Liam," she whispered, taking his hand. His fingers clung to hers, as though letting go meant vanishing completely. "I'm not leaving you." For a moment, the world around them held its breath. The air shimmered, the shadows paused, and the distorted space seemed to acknowledge her courage. The mirror realm was not kind, but it recognized the strength born of love, the bond between them that even this strange, unnatural place could not break. Emma knew then that she had entered something far beyond imagination, a place where ordinary rules did not apply, where shadows tested courage, and reflections reflected not just reality, but the deepest fears and regrets. And yet in that place, she also understood Liam was alive. He was reachable, and she would do whatever it took to bring him back. The mirror realm stretched endlessly before them, dangerous and unpredictable, but Emma's resolve burned brighter than the strange, shifting lights around her. With Liam by her side, she would navigate every shadow, every warped corridor, every test of courage. She would face the unknown, and she would not fail. Somewhere beyond the shimmer of reflections, beyond the whispering shadows, Emma took a deep breath, tightening her grip on Liam's small hand. Together, they stepped forward into the unknown, toward the promise of reunion and safety. The mirror realm stretched before Emma like an endless labyrinth, shifting and alive. Shadows twisted into impossible shapes, and light bent around corners in ways that made her dizzy. Every step she took was met with resistance, subtle at first, then more threatening. A floorboard that sank beneath her feet, walls that closed slightly as if testing her resolve. Yet she pressed forward, her hand gripping Liam's tightly. He shivered, and she felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders like never before. "I've got you," she whispered, squeezing his hand. "I won't let anything happen to you." But the mirror realm was not content to allow easy passage. From the shadows emerged creatures that seemed born from fear itself. They had no solid form. Faces melted into darkness, limbs stretching into impossible angles. But their presence pressed upon her mind, whispering doubts and regrets. "You failed him," one hissed. "Why weren't you enough?" Emma stumbled back, nearly dropping Liam. Her chest burned, her throat tight. Every harsh word from the shadow creatures echoed memories she wished she could forget. The time she snapped at Liam for spilling juice, the night she didn't comfort him when he had nightmares, the small moments of jealousy when her parents praised him. Each memory weighed her down, each shadow pressing closer. "You don't understand," she whispered, tears stinging her eyes. "I love him. I've always protected him. I'll do it again." Her words seemed to push the shadows back, if only slightly. But the trials continued. The corridor ahead twisted, bending impossibly, doors appearing and disappearing, reflections of rooms she recognized but weren't real. Liam tugged at her hand, pointing to a door that shimmered faintly in the distance. "Emma, this way," he called, his voice trembling but urgent. Emma nodded, swallowing her fear, and led him forward. But the mirror realm seemed alive, resisting them. The floor beneath them rippled like water, swallowing their steps and forcing them to jump or stumble across unstable surfaces. Walls bent inward, narrowing corridors until they had to squeeze through the tightest spaces imaginable. Every obstacle tested not just her physical courage, but her resolve, her ability to maintain hope in the face of despair. And then, the Guardians appeared. Figures that looked like distorted reflections of herself and Liam, twisted versions of the sibling she loved. Their eyes glowed with unnatural light, and their movements were jerky, deliberate, threatening. "You cannot take him," the mirrored Emma hissed. "He belongs here now. You do not deserve him." Emma froze for a heartbeat, staring at the shadowed version of herself. Guilt and fear twisted within her, but she squared her shoulders. "I am his sister," she said firmly, her voice strong despite the shaking of her hands. "I love him. I will never give up on him. No one, not even you, can stop me." The mirrored figures lunged, their forms shifting with each motion. Emma dodged instinctively, pulling Liam close as they ran, her heart hammering in her chest. Every step was a struggle, not just through space, but through doubt, fear, and the weight of past mistakes. But she could feel something growing inside her, a courage born from love and desperation. Every whisper of guilt that the shadows used to weaken her resolve was met with a declaration of hope. "You will not take him from me," she breathed, her voice fierce. Hours seemed to stretch into endless moments as they navigated the treacherous, shifting paths. Emma learned, slowly, that the mirror realm responded to intent and emotion. Her courage, love, and determination gave her strength to move forward. She called Liam's name constantly, not just to guide him, but to remind herself that he was real, that her actions mattered. At one point, a reflection of Liam appeared ahead, just beyond reach, and he seemed to fade each time she tried to touch him. Emma froze, the familiar pang of fear clawing at her chest. "No," she whispered. "You're here. You're alive. I won't let go." She knelt, pressing her hands against the shimmering floor, and allowed herself to confront her guilt openly for the first time. "I'm sorry for every time I hurt you, every time I wasn't enough. But I promise, I will be enough now." The shimmer intensified, and for a fleeting moment, it seemed the shadows recoiled, the mirrored figures faltering. Liam's reflection became clearer, closer. He reached out instinctively, and she met him, fingers brushing through the impossible boundary between them. Emma felt a sudden tug, almost violent, as the mirror realm shifted violently, threatening to separate them again. Her heart raced, but she did not panic. She concentrated, focusing every ounce of determination and love on holding his hand, on pulling him safely to her side. "Hold on, Liam," she whispered. "I won't let go." The shadows surged again, and one mirrored version of herself lunged toward Liam. Emma flung herself forward, intercepting the attack, letting her courage act as a shield. The Guardian shrieked, fading into the dark corners from which it had emerged. For the first time, Emma realized that the mirror realm could not break the bond between her and Liam. Their love, their trust, their determination, these were forces stronger than any shadow, any distorted reflection. As they advanced through the shifting corridors, Emma began to understand the rules of this strange place. Fear and regret were weapons here, but so too were courage and selflessness. Each time she acted with selfless determination to protect her brother, the world around them responded, opening paths, stabilizing floors, revealing doors that had been hidden. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached a platform floating in the center of a vast, mirrored expanse. Liam stumbled slightly, exhausted and frightened, and Emma caught him. She held him close, whispering reassurances, feeling the tension in his small body slowly ease. "I'm here, Liam. You're safe now. I've got you," she said softly, rocking him slightly. The mirror realm pulsed around them, shadows swirling, the distorted reflections watching. But the siblings stood firm, united. Emma realized that the trials, the tests, the shadows. They were all designed to measure her resolve, to see if her love was strong enough to overcome fear. And it was. In that moment, Emma understood something profound. The mirror realm was not just a place of danger, but a crucible. It forced those who entered to confront their deepest fears, their regrets, their failures. But it also offered redemption, a chance to prove the strength of love, courage, and commitment. Emma tightened her grip on Liam's hand. Together, they were ready for whatever lay ahead. The next challenge, the final obstacle that would determine whether they could leave this strange, fractured world behind and return home safely. She drew a deep breath, the glow of the mirror realm reflecting in her determined eyes. "I promise, Liam," she said quietly but firmly. "We're going to get out of here. I'll face anything because I won't leave you." And for the first time since stepping into the mirror, Emma felt a flicker of hope. Not blind hope, but a fierce, unwavering certainty. They had faced trials, faced shadows, and emerged stronger. Now, they were ready for the final confrontation, the moment that would decide everything. The platform in the center of the mirrored expanse stretched endlessly into darkness. Emma's grip on Liam's small hand was tight, unwavering. She could feel his fear vibrating through his tiny fingers, yet he held on, trusting her completely. Every shadow that had tested them, every distorted reflection that had taunted her, now seemed to converge toward this place, pressing in with a suffocating intensity. A low, resonant hum filled the air, vibrating through the floor beneath them. Emma's eyes widened as a figure emerged from the shimmer of the mirror realm. A distorted version of herself, taller, sharper, and darker, its eyes glowing with unnatural light. The mirrored Emma mirrored every movement Emma made, anticipating her actions with a chilling precision. "You cannot take him," the figure hissed, voice like breaking glass. "He belongs here. You do not deserve him." Emma's heart pounded, but she did not falter. "I love him," she said firmly, her voice echoing across the expanse. "I will not leave him behind. Not now, not ever." The mirrored figure lunged forward, its movements swift and unnatural. Emma dodged instinctively, pulling Liam close. The shadow tried again, more forceful this time, and Emma felt the air tear around them, as if the realm itself sought to pull Liam away. "Hold on to me, Liam," she shouted. "We're not letting go." Her words were a lifeline, both to herself and to him. Liam squeezed her hand tightly, his fear palpable but matched by a spark of courage. Together, they faced the impossible figure, their unity acting as a shield against the attack. Emma realized that brute force would not win here. The mirrored figure thrived on fear and doubt. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to remember everything she had learned in the trials. Courage was stronger than fear, love stronger than shadows, and determination could reshape the realm itself. "I'm not afraid of you," she declared. "You are nothing compared to the bond one have with my brother. You cannot break us." The figure hesitated, its glowing eyes flickering. Shadows around it quivered. Emma took advantage of the pause, moving closer to Liam. The mirror realm responded subtly, the warped floor beneath them stabilizing slightly, the shifting walls relaxing as if acknowledging her resolve. But the mirrored figure was not defeated. It struck again, more violently, and Emma was thrown backward, skidding across the glowing surface. Liam stumbled, but did not fall. Emma groaned, rising quickly, anger and fear fueling her movements. She met the shadowed figure head-on, refusing to let it separate them. "You will not take him!" she screamed, every ounce of emotion, love, fear, anger, hope, pouring into her words. For a brief, suspended moment, the mirror realm seemed to pause. The shadows recoiled, the distorted figure faltered. Emma took a step forward, then another, her hand stretched toward Liam. Slowly, impossibly, he stepped toward her as well, drawn by her determination. The mirrored figure let out a shriek, a sound that rattled the air and made Emma's chest ache. But she did not waver. She leaned into her love for Liam, into every memory of protecting him, every time she had comforted him, every promise she had whispered. The strength of their bond radiated outward, a force the mirror realm could not resist. Suddenly, the shadowed figure shattered like glass, fragments scattering into the air. The darkness lifted slightly, the oppressive hum fading. Emma caught Liam fully, pulling him into her arms. His small body trembled against hers, but he clung tightly, relieved and exhausted. "I've got you," she whispered, pressing her forehead to his. "You're safe. I won't let anything happen to you." Liam's voice was small, but firm. "I knew you'd come for me, Emma. I wasn't afraid. Not really." Emma smiled through tears, rocking him gently. "I never leave my family behind. Never. Not even in this place." The mirror realm began to shift around them, the warped corridors and floating platforms stabilizing, light reflecting normally again. Emma realized that the trials, the guardians, and the shadows were part of a crucible, designed not just to test, but to reveal the truth of love and courage. Their bond had been strong enough to overcome every challenge. But there was still one final step. Emma felt the pull of the mirror, the portal that had brought them here. She held Liam tighter, knowing they had to return together. The shadows and distortions had faded, but the transition back to their world required focus and trust. "Ready, Liam?" she asked softly. He nodded, gripping her hand. "Ready." Emma stepped forward, leading him toward the shimmering boundary of the mirror. The air rippled, as if acknowledging their resolve. She breathed deeply, centering herself, willing the portal to accept them. The mirror responded, stretching and bending, enveloping them in its cool, liquid surface once more. With a final step, they emerged on the other side. Emma stumbled onto the familiar carpet of her living room, Liam clinging to her, safe. The mirror stood silent, ordinary again, but its surface seemed to shimmer faintly, as though aware of what had transpired. Emma sank to her knees, holding Liam close, relief and exhaustion washing over her. "You're home," she whispered. "You're finally home." Liam hugged her tightly, burying his face in her shoulder. "I thought I'd never see you again," he murmured. Emma stroked his hair gently. "I told you, Liam. I would find you. Always. Nothing can stop me when it comes to you." For a long moment, they stayed like that, wrapped in each other's arms, the echo of the mirror realm still lingering faintly in the back of their minds. The ordeal had changed them both. They were stronger, braver, more aware of their love and reliance on one another. And though the mirror now seemed calm, ordinary, Emma knew better. She knew that some part of that world remained, waiting, watching, a subtle reminder that the line between reality and the impossible was thinner than anyone realized. But for now, it did not matter. Liam was safe. Emma had fulfilled her promise. And together, they had conquered the shadows that sought to tear them apart. The house was quiet once more, though the silence felt different now. Heavier, yet comforting in a fragile way. Emma sat cross-legged on the living room carpet, Liam curled against her side, small and warm in her arms. The ordinary world had returned, but the echoes of the mirror realm lingered faintly in the corners of her mind. Every shadow seemed slightly more alive, every reflection a reminder of what they had endured. Her parents hurried in, faces pale, but relief shining in their eyes. Her mother dropped to her knees beside them, embracing Liam first, then Emma, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Oh, my sweet boy." "Emma, thank God," her mother whispered, holding them both. Her father's voice shook, but his eyes were fierce with relief. "I don't know what happened, but you're safe. Both of you." Emma nodded, holding Liam a little tighter. "We're fine now," she said softly. But inside, she felt the tremor of what had happened, the reality that they had been so close to losing each other. She knew that the ordinary world felt safe, yet the experience had changed her forever. Later, after dinner, Emma found herself standing before the antique mirror. Liam sat nearby, coloring quietly, his small fingers smudged with crayons. The mirror's surface looked calm and ordinary, reflecting the room exactly as it was. But Emma's eyes lingered on it. She knew better. The mirror was more than it seemed. Its surface shimmered faintly when she wasn't looking directly, and for a heartbeat, she thought she saw a ripple, like water disturbed by a pebble. She shivered, feeling the memory of the mirror realm, the trials, the shadows, and the strange guardians echoing in her mind. Liam looked up at her, sensing her thoughts. "Emma, is it gone now?" he asked softly, his voice tinged with lingering fear. Emma smiled, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. "I think it's quiet for now, but we'll always be careful. Together, we can face anything." The siblings shared a look, their bond deepened beyond what words could express. They had survived something unimaginable, and though the terror lingered faintly, so did hope, courage, and love. Emma realized that even in ordinary life, extraordinary challenges could arise, and sometimes survival required more than bravery. It required trust, selflessness, and unwavering love. That night, as Liam slept in his bed, Emma returned to her own room and sat quietly by the window, the moonlight casting silver shadows across her floor. She thought about the journey they had taken, the mirror realm, the shadows, the trials that had tested her heart and resolve. She thought about the guilt she had carried, the mistakes she had made, and the forgiveness she had found, not just from Liam, but from herself. The mirror, standing silently in the hallway, was a reminder of all of it. A reminder that life was fragile, that love was powerful, and that courage was born not just from action, but from the willingness to confront fear, uncertainty, and the unknown. Her mind drifted to Liam, asleep and safe, dreaming perhaps of adventures far less terrifying than the one they had survived together. She smiled, brushing her fingers over the edge of her desk. She felt an unfamiliar calm settle over her. For the first time in what felt like forever, the ordinary world seemed a little more extraordinary, infused with the weight and wonder of their experience. Yet even as she closed her eyes, she could not entirely dismiss the unease that lingered. The mirror was still there, still part of the house, still waiting. Emma felt it in the quiet moments, the shimmer of its surface, the slight distortion of reflections that seemed to move independently. It was a silent promise that some mysteries were never fully gone, some forces never entirely understood. But Emma was no longer afraid. She had faced the darkness, navigated the trials, and emerged with Liam by her side. That courage, that love, that bond, they were stronger than fear. And whatever secrets remained within the mirror, she would face them if needed. Together, they could endure anything. The next morning, life returned to a semblance of normalcy. School, chores, laughter, and arguments. All the little things that had once seemed ordinary now carried the weight of significance. Emma noticed the small gestures. Liam leaving his backpack in the hallway, their mother's gentle reminders, their father's quiet presence in the kitchen. They were reminders that life, though unpredictable, was precious. As Emma passed the mirror one last time before leaving for school, she paused. The glass was still, reflecting her own face and the familiar room behind her. But just for a heartbeat, she thought she saw a subtle movement, a flicker that didn't belong. She blinked. Nothing. Only the reflection of herself and the ordinary world. A smile tugged at her lips, a mixture of amusement, caution, and reverence. The mirror had shown her the depths of fear, the heights of courage, and the power of love. It had reminded her that even in the quietest corners of the familiar, the extraordinary might wait, silently watching. Emma straightened, took a deep breath, and stepped away, her hand brushing the edge of Liam's small hand as he trailed behind her. The adventure had changed them both. They were stronger, braver, and more connected than ever. And though the mirror's secrets remained, Emma knew one truth above all: love, courage, and family could face even the unknown. As the sun rose higher, casting warm light through the windows, the house felt safe again, but Emma's eyes lingered on the antique mirror one final time. It gleamed faintly, reflecting the light in a way that seemed almost alive. She knew it was watching, waiting, perhaps holding untold possibilities. But now she was ready, because whatever came next, She would face it with Liam by her side. And that, she knew, was a power stronger than any shadow, stronger than any fear, stronger than any mirror.